a bentan, hands brushing cool grass in the park behind my apartment, just to tie my sneakers. Thinking only of the quiet evening, the distant traffic's hum, and the sun's fading warmth lingering on the horizon. Suddenly, out of nowhere, he appeared, like a figure conjured from some vivid daydream I didn't know I was having. He stood just a few steps away, his presence so unexpected and immediate that I nearly jumped back. My heart skipped a beat, a feeling almost rude to the stillness around me. In that brief moment, I realized even ordinary days hide tiny explosions of life that stop you entirely. Making you question where reality ends and the unexpected begins. He was there, leaning slightly on the playground fence, fading sunlight catching the subtle angles of his face, highlighting the intensity in his eyes and the casual ease of his posture. I couldn't look away, not because he was striking, but because his arrival disrupted my evening. The very air seemed to shift in temperature, weight, and tone the moment he crossed my line of sight. For a heartbeat, I wondered if I had imagined him. If my mind had gifted me some surreal moment, only to find, as my gaze adjusted, that he was very real, very present. And very much aware of my sudden pause, because his eyes met mine in a glance brief yet loaded with the peculiar kind of recognition that feels almost like a memory, even when you are certain you've never met before. In that instant, I noticed details I hadn't consciously registered until now. The way the light fell across the leaves of the old oak behind him, the gentle sway of the branches, casting long thin shadows over the cracked concrete, the soft echo of a dog barking somewhere, and the faint scent of rain lingering in the air, as though nature itself had conspired to make this meeting feel extraordinary, which made me realize that life has this funny habit of turning the simplest moments into ones that lodge themselves deep in your mind. Moments that you will replay endlessly, long after the memory of the day itself has faded, because that brief, sudden appearance of someone, completely unannounced and entirely unconscious, your perception of everything you thought you knew about routine, safety, predictability, and yourself. And so I stood there, frozen for a fraction too long, trying to process the strangeness of it all, until he finally took a single step forward, small, deliberate, but enough to erase the fragile distance. And in that motion, I felt a strange, unexplainable mix of curiosity, apprehension, and subtle excitement. That made my pulse quicken without my permission, because even as I told myself to breathe, to ground myself in the ordinary, the world seemed to tilt slightly. So, acknowledging that the simple act of bending down had summoned something extraordinary, something that would remain with me in ways I could not yet understand. And then he spoke, his voice soft, almost hesitant, carrying a timbre that made me lean in slightly. Without thinking, because it felt like the sound of a secret I hadn't known I was ready to hear. All at once, I was acutely aware of the way my body had betrayed me in its reaction. The subtle shiver running along my spine, the quickening of my heart, the restless flutter in my chest, the small, almost imperceptible tightening of my stomach. And yet, even with all this physiological evidence, my mind raced, trying to parse whether this encounter was a fleeting coincidence or something with meaning. Of destiny, of some hidden connection. I was too tired, too stunned, too unprepared to comprehend fully. While I wrestled with these thoughts, he moved again, subtly shifting his weight, tilting his head just so. For reasons I could not articulate, I felt an almost magnetic pull toward him, an instinctual urge that defied logic or explanation, and as he stepped a little closer, I realized that this was not the kind of moment that came with a script, with dialogue rehearsed. No, this was raw, unscripted, sudden, and fully alive, and I was caught entirely in its wake. Breathing in the cool evening air with a sharpness I hadn't known I was capable of, my senses suddenly attuned to every tiny movement, every subtle nuance in the soundscape around us, every shift in the ambient light, every minor detail that somehow carried weight. because it was now part of the narrative unfolding in front of me, a story I hadn't asked to be part of, but was now irrevocably entwined in. And then he smiled an odd, a wide, exaggerated smile. But a small, knowing curve of his lips that suggested familiarity, humor, or understanding. Or perhaps all three. And in that smile, I recognized something profound, even though I couldn't yet name it. Couldn't yet place it, but instinctively felt that this moment, this ordinary turned extraordinary moment, was one of those rare instances life occasionally gifts, moments that remain stitched into your memory. And I bent down again, this time to pick up a small pebble that had rolled near my feet. An almost reflexive act, and in doing so, I caught his gaze once more, longer now, deeper. And I felt an unspoken communication pass between us, a silent acknowledgement that while the rest of the world continued on, unbothered and indifferent, this small park, this fading evening light, these quiet sounds, this single pebble, and the improbable sudden presence of a stranger had coalesced into something remarkable, something that would linger in my mind, something that would shape the way I remembered this ordinary day. And even as I stood there, finally straightening up, feeling the normal tension return to my shoulders, I realized that the ordinary is often a doorway, a threshold into moments we don't anticipate, into encounters that feel like they carry hidden significance, and that even a simple action, like bending down for a second, can be the spark that ignites an entire sequence of experience. That feels both fleeting and eternal, because life has a way of turning the smallest gestures, the tiniest motions, into events that reverberate far beyond their apparent scale, that etch themselves into memory with a clarity and permanence that the ordinary world rarely achieves. And as I took a deep breath, letting the stillness of the evening settle over me once more, I couldn't help but replay the entire moment in my head, from the precise angle of his approach, to the way the shadows shifted on the ground, to the subtle inflection in his voice, to the almost imperceptible way the wind carried his scent. And I knew, with a certainty that felt both thrilling and unnerving, that this would remain with me forever, a quiet, invisible thread running through the tapestry of my life, a memory anchored not in grandiose events, but in a single, ordinary second that became extraordinary because he appeared, because he was there. And because, without warning, the universe had conspired to place him at exactly that moment, at exactly that angle, with exactly that expression, in my line of sight. And I had been powerless to resist the pull of it, powerless to ignore the astonishing impact of his presence, powerless to stop my mind from racing, my heart from hammering, my body from responding in ways that defied reason. Oh, and yet, amid all the confusion, all the sudden intensity, all the inexplicable connection, there was clarity too. A quiet understanding that life is made of these moments, fleeting as they are, moments that demand notice, attention, and reverence, because even the most ordinary day can hold the impossible, can deliver the unimaginable, can present the unexpected in ways that change your perception forever. And so I remained there for a few more seconds, reluctant to step back into the mundane, reluctant to let the spell break, reluctant to let the ordinary world reclaim me from the extraordinary, reject, until at last, I straightened fully, feeling the weight of the evening, the quiet buzz of life around me, and the undeniable sense that something remarkable had just occurred, something that would be replayed in my thoughts countless times, retold in memory with all its vivid details, all its strange magic, all its inexplicable poignancy. A single moment sparked by bending down for a second, transformed by his sudden appearance and destined to linger indefinitely as proof that even the smallest gestures can be the threshold to moments that are anything but small, moments that carry the unexpected, the extraordinary, the unforgettable.